What would you do if a stranger mailed you a piece of your past? A mistake so old, so buried. You'd almost convinced yourself it never happened. Sasha had built the kind of life people admired. She had the apartment, the carefully crafted success, and the kind of confidence that was more armor than ease. But some nights, when everything fell quiet, she felt something unfinished breathing beneath the surface. One fine morning, a letter appeared in her mailbox. No stamp, no sender, just her name handwritten. Inside was a note. This is the regret you left behind. Carried it for years. But I believe it's yours now. Folded inside was a photograph. 2 schoolgirls in uniform. One of them was her. The other. Her name rose from the silence like a forgotten song. Leena. Sasha dropped the photo. Her hands trembled. Leena had been her closest friend in school. Smart, gentle, little shy. They were inseparable. Until one incident. Something Sasha had never spoken about again. They had both been selected for a national writing competition. Only one could go. Leena had written something vulnerable. Story about loss, grief, her father. Sasha had read it. And something inside her cracked. She copied it, word for word. Submitted it under her name, earlier than Leena. She won. Leena never confronted Sasha. She simply stopped speaking. Days passed. Then years. Leena moved away. The friendship dissolved like paper in water. Now, 20 years later, a letter. A letter Sasha couldn't ignore. She searched online for Leena. No Facebook. No LinkedIn. No Instagram. But then, she found a poetry blog. The author's name, Rose. Posts were raw, lyrical, honest, soft words, familiar voice. One piece ended with a line. I never needed an apology. I just needed to know she remembered. Sasha knew it was her. There was no contact information. But the bio listed a coastal town. And a small poetry press. Sasha decided to search Leena. She booked a train. She didn't plan her words. She didn't know if she'd find Leena. She just carried the photo. And the truth. The town smelled of jasmine. An old rain. Time felt slower here. Not frozen. Just quieter. In a dusty second-hand bookstore, Sasha found a copy of the poetry journal. Inside, a note handwritten in soft ink. To my Aunt Leena, who taught me that silence, too, can be an act of strength. Sasha's chest tightened. She turned to the woman behind the counter. Do you know the writer? The woman nodded. She's from here. With kind, forgiving. Sasha hesitated. Did she ever talk about a friend? From school? The woman looked at her for a long moment. Then softly said, not often. But when she did, there was always love in the pain. She paused, choosing her words carefully. She once told me. I forgave her a long time ago. But I hoped she'd one day forgive herself. Sasha's breath caught. Could I meet her? The woman shook her head gently. She doesn't share her contact details. If she wants to meet you, she will. Sasha left the bookstore, feeling both heavier and lighter. Sasha waited a few days. She visited the bookstore again, meeting Leena's niece, hoping Leena might show up, or maybe agree to speak. But there was no response, no sign, just silence. Sasha's last hope of meeting her began to fade. And so, she decided to go back. She sat in a quiet cafe by the train station, coffee cooling beside her, suitcase packed. No idea what she had expected. And then, someone was standing in front of her. Deep in her thought, she didn't look up, until a voice said, You found me. It was Leena. Stronger, steady, the same eyes, deeper now. They sat across from each other by the window. I wasn't sure if I wanted to come, Leena said quietly. Sasha whispered, I don't know how to say sorry for something that changed your life. Leena replied gently, You just did. I'm sorry, Sasha whispered again. I didn't even understand why I did it. I know. Lena's voice softened. You don't owe me a reason. But you owe yourself peace. She added after a pause. I don't need an apology. I needed to see who you became. She reached into her pocket. A folded paper. I wrote this for you. But I never sent it. Sasha looked up. Can we ever go back? Leena smiled softly. Not sadly. Not angrily. Some bridges don't burn. They just become quiet paths. No one walks anymore. Then she stood gracefully. But I don't know if I trust you either. And I don't need to. She placed the folded paper on the table and walked out into the soft rain. Sasha opened the paper. It was a copy of the original story. Lena's story. The one Sasha had stolen. At the bottom, written in Lena's handwriting. Some wounds don't ask to be healed. They ask to be acknowledged. That night, Sasha stood by her window, listening to the rain. For the first time in 20 years, she didn't feel hollow. She whispered to herself, I forgive you. And this time, she meant it. Not all wounds need a cure. Some just need to be seen. Forgiveness isn't always reunion. Sometimes it's choosing not to carry the weight forward, even when no one's watching. If this story touched a memory in you, leave a comment with the moment that hit hardest. And subscribe for more stories that speak to the quiet places in all of us. Some stories aren't just told, they're felt. See you in the next story.